Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Ashtotar to the Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Ashtotar to the Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. On this 11th day of March 2025 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 2, entitled Contents of the Gita Summarized, page 67, text 4. So I think we'll, because there's so many here, we'll do 3 on this side, 3 men and 3 ladies can chant, okay? And so no offense if you don't get the chant. Arjuna Vacha, Katam Bhishmam Aham Sankhye Dronam Cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Patiyotsami Pujarhav Adhisudana. Yeah. Keep the door closed. Make sure the door's okay. Arjuna Vacha Katam Bhishmamaham Sankhye Dronam Cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Patiyotsami Pujarha Vadisudana. Arjuna Vacha Katam Bhishmamaham Sankhye Dronam Cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Patiyotsami Pujarha Vadisudana. Arjuna Vacha Katam Bhishmamaham Sankhye Dronam Cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Patiyotsami Pujarha Vadisudana. Arjuna Vacha Katam Bhishmamaham Sankhye Dronam Cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Patiyotsami Pujarha Vadisudana. Okay, time out. Prabhu, Hare Krishna? Yeah. Actually, there's room on that bench over there. No, this is the ladies' side. Or you can sit down here if you want. Okay, sure. Yeah, and there's room on that bench. Okay, but thank you. All right, one more time. Arjuna Vacha Katam Bhishmamaham Sankhye Dronam Cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Patiyotsami Pujarha Vadisudana. Go ahead, Nelson. Arjuna Vacha Katam Bhishmamaham Sankhye Dronam Cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Patiyotsami Pujaha Vadisudana. Yeah, ladies. Arjuna Vacha Katam Bhishmamaham Sankhye Dronam Cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Patiyotsami Pujaha Vadisudana. Katam Bhishmamaham Sankhye Dronam Cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Patiyotsami Pujaha Vadisudana. Arjuna Vacha Katam Bhishmamaham Sankhye Dronam Cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Patiyotsami Pujaha Vadisudana. Okay, I'll do the word by words, just read along. Arjuna Vacha, Arjuna said, Katam, how, Bhishma, aham, I, Sankhye, in the fight, Dronam, Drona, Cha, also, Madhusudana, O killer of Madhu, Ishubhi, with arrows, Patiyotsyami, shall counterattack, Pujar, how, those who are worshipable, Adhisudana, O killer of the enemies. Translation. Arjuna said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counterattack with arrows in battle, men like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship? Purport. Respectable superiors like Bhishma the grandfather, and Dronacharya the teacher, are always worshipable. Even if they attack, they should not be counterattacked. It is general etiquette that superiors are not to be offered even a verbal fight. Even if they are sometimes harsh in behavior, they should not be harshly treated. Then, how is it possible for Arjuna to counterattack them? Would Krishna ever attack his own grandfather, Ugrasen, or his teacher, Sandipani Muni? These were some of the arguments offered by Arjuna to Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Sharakaya Chakshu Unmanitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and to all members of Sri Parampara. So, just a quick recap for those who are not so familiar with the context of the Bhagavad Gita. I'm not going to go into the whole explanation of the battle, but let's say like this, that this Bhagavad Gita is 18 chapters, 700 verses in a work that is 100,000 verses long. The Mahabharata, which is a book, history of ancient India, is one of the main writings of a incarnation of Krishna, a literary incarnation called Vyasadeva, who wrote so many Vedas and Puranas and Upanishads and all Vedic literature. So the importance of the Bhagavad Gita, the reason why these 18 chapters are taken out of the book and presented and studied in religion courses all over the world, is that there's a concentration, it's a summary of the essence of the Vedic wisdom, spiritual wisdom. Let's put it that way. And the context is that there's this battle that's about to take place that's been building throughout the Mahabharata. And let's put it this way: it's a battle that's going to be tested between good and evil, between religion, morality, and God consciousness, and just the opposite. And Arjuna, he's speaking here, he's the main protagonist or the warrior on the side of good. His four brothers, called the five of them are known as the Pandavas, the son of Pandu. And they are all very closely related to Krishna. Krishna is presented in the Bhagavad Gita, and he explains in the Bhagavad Gita that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, what we would commonly call God. But the Prabhupada's name in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are other personalities of Godhead. God can also expand. He has different incarnations. But Krishna is the original. And he is, as I mentioned, he's friends with all these Pandavas, very close, and they're all devotees of him. And he has now taken the position, a humble position, as the charioteer, the driver of Arjuna's chariot in the battle. And Arjuna looks on the other side. He asked Krishna to take his chariot between the two armies. They're all ready to go, all these elephants and infantry and cavalry. You know, there's a lot of horses on each side, thousands and thousands. But everything is at a standstill now, so there's a no man's land between. So he takes it between, he wants to see who's going to fight. And he sees on the other side his beloved grandfather figure. I say figure because Bhishma Dev, he took the role of a grandfather when the father of the Pandus, he died untimely, and so he helped to raise them. So there's a very strong bond there. But he's on the other side as the main fighter. Even though he's quite elderly, he's still a very skilled fighter. And his teacher is next to him, practically. Dronacharya. Teacher means that he trained Arjuna in military science, which is also part of the Vedic science, Dhanurveda. There's on the Dhanurveda, many of you have heard of Ayurveda. Who's heard of Ayurveda here? Yeah. You can get certified in the state of California for Ayurvedic medicine. My old friend Gaur Sundar, Jai Gaur Sundar, was here for many years. He became qualified in that. I was his first patient. I'll tell you a little story. So in my career as an editor for the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, which publishes this book and many others, took me all over the world. And at one point I was working in Sweden for the publishing there of a Krishna book. We were revising the Krishna book, going through the whole Krishna book. So the leader there, he had many disciples, and one of his disciples knew Reiki. Have you ever done Reiki? It's kind of, they don't touch you, but it does a whole thing on you. I didn't know exactly what it was, but everyone was getting it, and he said, "Oh, you should get, you know, to make you feel better." I said, "Okay." So this was just the day before I was going to come back here. So I took the Reiki, and he did something, I don't know, he maybe said some mantras or whatever. And after I was came out of that, I was very emotional. You know, yeah. I would come before the deities, I would cry, and everyone thought, oh, he's so advanced, you know. But actually, it was just, it was abnormal. So anyway, and then I got on the plane and came back here, and I told Jayaguru Sundar. He said, I said, because that happened here. It's Janmashtami. I come before the deities. Anyway, so I said, Jai, this is the Reiki. He said, okay, you can be my first patient. So I went out in front here. Janmashtami, there's like hundreds of people walking and everything. And he sat me down in a chair there. He went to the trunk of his car, pulled out his needles for the first time. You know, I was his first patient. And he puts it here and on the ears and everything, and you just sit there. So you can imagine, people are going by and say, is this part of the Janmashtami festival? What's going on? Anyway, it was maybe 15, 20 minutes, you know. It worked. It worked. It's Ayurveda. You know, this is a Japanese thing, I think, anyway. It wasn't Ayurveda. This was acupuncture. So there's also Ayurveda, which is Vedic science, medical science, and there's also Dhanurveda, which is military science. That's also a subject, and Arjuna was expert in that. So this is the situation. The battle is about to begin. Arjuna is on the good guy's side, but he gets cold feet because he sees on the other side not only Bhishma and Drona, but so many cousins and you know, brothers-in-law and you know, all kinds of friends and relatives, and that's on the other side. What to speak of his own side? So he says, how can I attack these people? These are my beloved, you know, friends and relatives. So he sits down in the chariot. He's very, you know, and Krishna says to him, get up. He said, I think in the second verse here, this is not Aryan. You know, the word Aryan was completely wrecked by the Nazis. But there is Aryan means someone who is prioritizes spiritual values in life. You see? That's explained here, and because of that, when they're ruling a society or part of the country or whatever, they have a spiritual culture there. So Krishna says this is an un-Aryan that you're doing because you're about to leave the battlefield, you know, and this is a religious war. I mean, this is good. If we don't have you, we might lose the war. You know, that's the idea. So, but Arjuna is not convinced. Then he's saying here, the verse we just had, how can I battle Bhishma, my beloved grandfather, and Drona, my teacher, O Madhusudan? How can I counteract them? Even if they shoot arrows at me, how can I counteract them? And so then the next couple of verses, and it culminates in text 7, which I think we'll get to tonight, where he changes the relationship because they're friends. Can you imagine being friends with God? So they're good friends. But now the friends, they can argue for hours and they won't get anywhere, right? But if one of them is the disciple and the other is the guru, then there's no arguing. And Krishna is the original guru. So he'll now say, okay, let's change it. I don't know, we're not getting anywhere. So now I surrender to you as a disciple. And then the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita actually begins in text 11. All right, so let's go on. And he more or less continues his argument here about why he shouldn't fight. Text 5. Guru nahatva himahano bhavan shreyo bhoktum bhaikshyamapiha loke hatvarta kamangs tu guru nihaiva bunji bhogan vudida pratigdan. It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers, Drona and Bhishma. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, then everything we enjoy will be tainted with their blood. This is part of the revision that we're doing. Their blood. Purport: according to scriptural codes, a teacher who engages in an abominable action and has lost his sense of discrimination is fit to be abandoned. Bhishma and Drona were obliged to take the side of Duryodhana because of his financial assistance. They were dependent on him for their maintenance, although they should not have accepted such a position simply on financial considerations. Under the circumstances, they have lost the respectability of teachers. But Arjuna thinks that nevertheless they remain his superiors, and therefore to enjoy material profits after killing them would mean to enjoy spoils tainted with their blood. Next verse. Nachaitan vidma katadanno gariyo yadva jayema yadivano jayeyuhu yane mahatvana jijivashamas tevastitha pramuke dhartarastra. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we killed the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. Purport. Arjuna did not know whether he should fight and risk unnecessary violence, although fighting is the duty of the Kshatriyas, or whether he should refrain and live by begging. If he did not conquer the enemy, begging would be his only means of subsistence. Nor is there certainty of victory, because either side might emerge victorious. Even if victory awaited them and their cause was justified, still, if the sons of Dhritarashtra died in battle, it would be very difficult to live in their absence. Under the circumstances, that would be another kind of defeat for them. All these considerations by Arjuna definitely prove that not only was he a great devotee of the Lord, but he was also highly enlightened and had complete control over his mind and senses. His desire to live by begging, although he was born in the royal household, is another sign of detachment. He was truly virtuous, as these qualities, combined with his faith in the words of instructions of Sri Krishna, his spiritual master, indicate. It is concluded that Arjuna was quite fit for liberation. Unless the senses are controlled, there is no chance of elevation to the platform of knowledge, and without knowledge and devotion, there is no chance of liberation. Arjuna was competent in all these attributes, over and above his enormous attributes in his material relationships. So, one thing to understand, I made this point before in this introductory section, is that all of this bewilderment that Arjuna is in now, and the whole situation, has been engineered by Krishna just so he could speak the Bhagavad Gita. Because this Bhagavad Gita, when understood as it really is intended to be understood by Krishna, is invaluable for human society. Because Prabhupada talks about liberation here. Now, what is liberation? This isn't any kind of political liberation where someone gets liberated from colonialism or something. He's talking about liberation of the soul from imprisonment within bodies. Now, why bodies? Because we never die. We have lived thousands of lives before, which we all forgot. Unless anyone remembers their previous life? No. But the Bhagavad Gita teaches, and even now, I hate to say this, but it's true, that the U.S. military has decided that we live again, that no one dies. Look it up. Now, what are they going to do with that? They want to say, oh, we can leave the body now, and we'll go and spy on the Russians and tell them we're looking down. But the point is, even in this one body, Krishna will speak. One of the first verses he speaks is something that we can all think about and think, yeah, this kind of shows that we're not the body. Now just try to remember. All of us maybe can remember something when we were like 8 years old. Probably, right? Not everything. It's pretty, as you get older, it gets, but there's certain high points in there. I remember when my brother was about to beat me to a pulp, and I remember that to this day. I was maybe 8, he was like 13, and anyway, we got into a fight. My father came in at the last minute and stopped him. I realized I might not have been sitting here. Anyway. But so I can remember that. Now, I had a different body at that time, obviously. We all did. We had different mind, different thoughts. But now we're the same person all these years later. So what's the same? The body's not the same. The soul is the same. The particle of spirit, this called the Atma, is eternal. This is the first lesson. We don't die. I made it into a little poem. Every single body dies, or as we say, every body dies. Can't get away from it. We may try to forget it, but we know that. Every body dies. Nobody dies. Wake up, and open your eyes. You're not that body. You're pure spirit soul. Chant the holy name and attain life's goal. And what is that life's goal? Well, the preliminary understanding is this word liberation, which Prabhupada took here. Liberation means, yes, we have to leave the body one more time, but we don't necessarily have to come into another material body. It all depends on our consciousness. And that's why Prabhupada dubbed this the Krishna Consciousness Movement, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. One friend, he suggested, well, that's going to be kind of unrelatable. Why don't you just call it the International Society for God Consciousness? No, no, no. Our whole purpose is to show that it is Krishna who is that God, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's not some vague person. It's a definite, person who we have forgotten. So that's the whole point, is that liberation is the preliminary goal, spiritual goal, that every human being should try to have. Because I listen to tapes all the time, and Prabhupada this is the wonderful lectures on the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But this is the ABCs, and Bhagavatam is the postgraduate, and then the Chaitanya Charitamrita is the postgraduate book Prabhupada published. So there's the teachings there. Lord Chaitanya, whose birthday, his appearance day is coming up this Thursday. If you have any time at your disposal, from 5:30 on, there's going to be a big festival here. The temple will probably be packed. And even though it's raining, I think everyone's going to try to come out. So try to come if you can. It's one of our main festivals. Who is Lord Chaitanya? He's Krishna. He's Krishna in disguise. He came in this Kali Yuga just a mere 500 years ago. Krishna came 5,000 years ago. And basically he said at the end is essential instruction of the Bhagavad Gita, but be boiled down to 2 verses. You won't understand the importance of them probably until we go through. But he says, Manmana bhava madbhakto. Just think of me, become devoted, worship me, and bow down low. You'll come to me, our friend. I promise you this boon I shall bestow. Give up all other dharmas and surrender only unto me. Your sins I'll nullify, O Arjun, from anxiety be free. So what does it mean to come to Krishna? Prabhupada's immortal phrase, go back home, back to Godhead. What's the advantage? What's it like in that Godhead, in that spiritual world? I mean, this is not alien to Western thought. We have the heaven, right, where God is there. But what's the details? What do you do up there? So there is the paradise. That's real paradise. There's no birth, there's no death, there's no old age, there's no enemies, there's no... I'm not going to name his name, but you know who I'm thinking of. Oh, God. Just the opposite. Hey, we have figures like that. We have Kamsa, we have Ravana, Let's go on. But there's no Ravana there. There's no crazy politics and all of this confusion. It's all ideal. Why? Because everyone is in tune, in harmony with God's desires. And it's not like our desires are not considered. Our desires are pure. We're just like a mother and a child. Just contemplate that. A newborn child is their mother, and the child is completely dependent on the mother, right? And so she makes sure, so what is the mother thinking about from the moment she gets up? What's happening with the baby? So the baby may be right nearby, or whatever. He gets up. Oh, okay, he's sleeping. That's good. And baby gets up and crying when he's hungry. He says, "Okay, feed the baby." Now the baby is peaceful. So what is the mother getting out of all that? She's not getting paid. The payment is simply because of the love, and that the child is peaceful and is reciprocating the love. Oh, thank you. Like that. That's the pleasure. That's the purest thing we have in the material side of selfless love. Selfless love. And that's what love for God, that's what bhakti means. Bhakti yoga, that's the official name. Bhakti yoga means that we take our pleasure from giving pleasure to Krishna. And because Krishna's ability to enjoy pleasure is infinite, we can also take part in that infinite, ever-existing, ever-increasing pleasure. Now, it may sound like Pollyanna. Okay, come on, tell me something I can use for my life. That is the goal of human life. There is a goal. And it's not to try to enjoy as much as possible on this plane, and you have all these possessions and things like that. That's all ephemeral. It's asat. Asat means it's temporary, it's fleeting. And our attraction for it is what keeps us coming back again and again to these material bodies for suffering. But there's no suffering up in the spiritual world. It's all varieties of pleasure, of loving exchange. The suffering is when Krishna goes to the forest and you're back home. Oh, when is he coming back? But that suffering is the source of the greatest happiness, because it's simply, you're experiencing the love, the intense love for God. So it's everything in this world is a reflection of the spiritual world. Therefore, because we have friends in this world, we know the perfection of friendship is up there. Because we have this wonderful parental relationship I mentioned, the perfection is there. And even the relation between man and woman, the perfection is there, you see. But there's no, as Prabhupada Immortal used to this phrase, he gave it a complete new meaning, inebriety, or inebriety. It basically means drunkenness. But it means there's no downside. Here it's all a downside. Even if you have a very happy home, you have a good job, everything is nice, you're a good person, I'm vegetarian, whatever. But it's temporary. It must end. The children are going to leave the home. You're going to eventually get sick and old, you know, and everything. And then what? You don't know in the material side. You don't know where your destination is. It's a great mystery. But in Krishna consciousness, you know. You're already living beyond the body. You're already in your spiritual identity is there. So all of this is hinted at in the Bhagavad Gita and explained in detail in the Srimad Bhagavatam. But here Arjuna is in great dilemma and he's paralyzed, and Krishna will eventually convince him of what's what. All right, now this verse 7, as I promised you, this is a real important verse. You have a question? Go ahead, Nelson.
In order to attain the ultimate...
Oh, wait a minute. The Bhagavad Gita shouldn't be on the floor. If you could just pick it up.
In order to attain the ultimate goal of life, pure, unconditional love of God, or Krishna Prem, must we relinquish the desire for mukti or liberation?
Relinquish the desire. You know, there's no need to relinquish the desire, because that comes naturally. Mukti, or liberation, which is such an important goal, it ultimately becomes a byproduct of devotion. There's a beautiful verse. I can't help sharing it. I hope you'll excuse the Sanskrit, I know, but I'll explain what it means. This is written by a great devotee named Bilvamangal Thakur. It's near the end of a work he wrote called Krishna Karnamrita. Now, I know all this Sanskrit probably goes in and out, but it's very important. Karnamrita means nectar for Krishna's ears. So how could you write a book thinking this is going to be nectar for God's ears? Isn't that a lot of pride? Not for him. Because he was so advanced that he was feeling Krishna's presence and communing with him, even though he was physically blind. He's writing this book. And he felt that Krishna was enjoying the book. So this book that I'm writing is nectar for Krishna's ears. So near the end of the book, he has this verse that describes the relation between bhakti and mukti. So it's bhakti mohu bhaktim stvayis tadadara bhagavan yadisyad. He's addressing Bhagavan, or Bhagavan. Bhakti stvayis tadadara bhagavan yadisyad. Daivena nakpalati divya kishora murti. Mukti swayam mukulitanjali sevate sman dharmata kamakata yaksamayak patiksha. Which means, oh Krishna, when someone is fixed in your devotion, bhakti Tvayi stiratada means very firmly fixed and no deviation. Oh Bhagavan, yadi, if someone is that, yadi said, then that brings about the goal of that, the fruit of that devotion is liberation? No. The fruit is divya kishora murti, a constant vision of your divine adolescent form, your all-attractive form, which if you're fortunate to stay at 8:15, for the curtains will open and you'll see the beautiful deities there. And as far as mukti concerned, she's waiting at the door with this Anjali. Now, in the Vedic culture, and we have it too, in every culture, there are certain things that you indicate by your hands, they call mudras. Just like, really? You know, you don't even have to say really, you know? Or how about this one? No. Show me. Someone comes into the Hare Krishna temple, they stand in the back. No, I don't believe, you know. Or how about this, the mother? Again? You know, isn't it mudras are like this? Now, if the curtains are when the curtains open, those who stay will see Radharani, who's on the right, to Krishna's left, and she has this, see? It doesn't mean stop. This is called the Abhay Dan Mudra, the Sanskrit. Abhay is fearlessness. Dan is the gift. She's giving the gift of fearlessness. You just try to love us and serve us, Krishna and myself. It's not difficult, you know. Chant the name. This mantra is so powerful. And then you'll bestow fearlessness. Imagine that, you know. This whole material world is based on fear. What is the insurance industry based on? Fear. Oh, my house may burn down. I better get it. Someone is going to steal something. There's another kind of insurance. And if I die, what about my loved ones? They'll have nothing. Okay, life insurance, right? And health insurance. And all this. But if you're in the spiritual world, you don't need it. Your insurance is always... So anyway, she's giving the fearlessness. Don't be afraid. Fear is a concomitant of material life because this body is so fragile. So many different things. You remember the pandemic? I mean, people are afraid to go to the Sprouts. All right, let me put on a mask. You know, put the mask. Because I don't know what that person is breathing out and I'm breathing in. Oh my God, you know. Yes, there was a lot of fear all over the place. A lot of people came and joined at that time because they said, oh, maybe I'll take this Hare Krishna seriously. A few of them are still here. But that's really the nature of material life. There's danger at every step, right? So Krishna consciousness gives us the fearlessness. Even if you're just beginning, there's this sense of the anxiety is reduced tremendously. Because you're on the spiritual platform, and when you're chanting and hearing with great attention, it changes your whole perspective on life. All right, I want to do this verse because this is so important, and then we may have to adjourn soon. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava. Anyway, all right. But before we do that, I want to answer his question finally. That mukti is a byproduct of bhakti. So at a certain point, you give up even worrying about mukti. That's why Lord Chaitanya says, Nadanam Jananam Sundarim, in the fourth verse of the Shikshastika. I don't want money. I don't want a beautiful, wife or whatever. I don't want this. I don't want that. I don't want mukti. I just want your pure devotional service, birth after birth. Birth after birth means no mukti. Doesn't care about it. Okay, karpanya dosho pahata swabhava pritchami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha yakshe yaksyanishtitam bruhitan me shishasteham sharimam tvam papannam. Mahima, turn the heat off. Okay, translation. Arjuna says, now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of this miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. Prabhupada's purport. By nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step there is perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literatures advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life, which happen without our desire. They're like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that perplexities of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusion. No one wants fire, yet it takes place, and we become perplexed. The Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in the disciplic succession. A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything, is said to know everything. One should not, therefore, remain in material perplexities, but should approach a spiritual master. This is the purport of this verse. Who is the man in material perplexities, and woman in material perplexities? It is he who does not understand the problems of life. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 3.8.10, the perplexed man is described as follows. Yo va etat akshadam garg yavidit vasmal lokat praiti sa kripanaha. He is a miserly man who does not solve the problems of life as a human and who thus quits this world like the cats and dogs without understanding the science of self-realization, which is the name of one of our main books. Close quote. This human form of life is a most valuable asset for the living entity, who can utilize it for solving the problems of life. Therefore, one who does not utilize this opportunity properly is a miser. On the other hand, there is the Brahman, or he who is intelligent enough to utilize the body to solve all the problems of life. Yaeted aksharam gargi vidit vasma lokat praiti sa brahmana. The kripanas, or miserly persons, waste their time in being overly affectionate for family, society, country, etc., in the material conception of life. One is often attached to family life, namely to wife, children, and the other members, on the basis of skin disease. The kripana thinks that he is able to protect his family members from death, or the kripana thinks that his family or society can save him from the verge of death. Such family attachment can be found even in the lower animals who take care of their offspring also. I think that's been fixed. Children are human offspring. Being intelligent, Arjuna could understand that his affection for family members and his wish to protect them from death were the causes of his perplexities. Although he could understand that his duty to fight was awaiting him, still, on account of miserly weakness, he could not discharge the duties. He is therefore asking Lord Krishna, the Supreme Spiritual Master, to make a definite solution. He, Arjuna, offers himself to Krishna as a disciple. He wants to stop friendly talks. Talks between the master and the disciple are serious, and now Arjuna wants to talk very seriously before the recognized spiritual master. Krishna is therefore the original spiritual master of the science of the Bhagavad Gita, and Arjuna is the first disciple for understanding the Gita. How Arjuna understands the Bhagavad Gita is stated in the Gita itself, and yet foolish, mundane scholars explain that one need not submit to Krishna as a person, but to, quote, the unborn within Krishna. There is no difference between Krishna's within and without, and one who has no sense of this understanding is the greatest fool in trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita. So there's a lot in that purport, which I won't be able to go over all of it. But this is a very important turning point, and it has a lesson for us also, is that if Bhakti Yoga is anything, it's very personal. Every turn, things that you would normally think may be impersonal turn out to be persons, or persons behind them, let's say this. And because ultimately, like for instance, the material that we're sitting here at this desk. Now this, of course, is wooden, so you can see at one point it was the body of a tree, you see. But how about this marble here? You know, I think it's marble. It's just a rock. It hasn't ever been alive. But still, it's personal in the sense that it's connected to Krishna. It's part of his energy. He'll say in the 7th chapter, Boomer, Apo, Onanovai. He'll list these energies that we're familiar with, but we just don't know the names in Sanskrit names. Solid matter, gases, liquids, radiant energy, and fire, and all these things. These are different energies. They're not alive, but they're connected to the ultimate person, Krishna, God, you see. And our bodies themselves are made of these things, isn't it? I mean, we romanticize, you know, something, oh, he's got a very attractive body, you know, very well built, you know. But what is it, you know? You get beyond the skin disease and what's inside, you know. I used to work in a hospital. Oh, my God. You know, so much suffering you see in the hospital. But basically it's because the body is just a machine. It's a very amazing machine. You want proof of God? Your body is proof of God. The intelligence that's gone into it. It wasn't produced by some, you know, computer or anything, or AI, you know. But obviously, the balance, 98.6 degrees, is, you know, that is the normal, you know, and what keeps that going, you know, at the time, and all of the complexities of how the blood is working and the brain, my God. So when you see something that's like this cell phone, okay, this happens to be an Apple cell phone. But so much went into it, so much intelligence, so much human thought went into it, right? And construction like that. So no one would think, if you find this in the grass, oh, that's an amazing growth there that just grew up on it. You know, you'd realize someone dropped it, right? And it was. So when you see, and we can see it in ourselves or all around ourselves, this organization, the evidence of higher intelligence, that has produced this. It hasn't come about by accident. That's a crazy theory. Oh yeah, with enough time, millions and trillions of years, and all the atoms will eventually come together and produce an amoeba, and then another million years they'll come together and gradually it'll come up to human life. That's the theory? That's crazy. That's in chapter 16. The demons think like. Anishwaram, what is it? Asatyam apatishtamte jagadahu anishwaram apadaspadasambutam kimanyat kamahoitakam. How else could it have happened? They think there's no truth, there's no God in control, everything is coming about just by accident. What else could it be? This is the fools and demons who suffer like anything. So that kind of intuition that there's an intelligence behind it, intelligence means a person, is correct. Now who is that person? What is our relationship? All of that will be explained in the Bhagavad Gita. So Arjuna, he's representing us. And in his dilemma of what to do, this life and death question and confusion, he approaches Krishna, who's the first of all gurus, the spiritual masters. And he says, now, please instruct me. What does he want to know? Dharma samudha cheta. We're all Dharma samudha cheta. I'm certainly still Dharma samudha cheta. I'm bewildered about what the right thing is to do. That, you see? Dharma is the right thing to do. Thanks for coming. Hare Krishna. So we can also approach it. I'm Dharma samudha cheta. Shishyasteham, I am your disciple. Now, the fact that we can't be Krishna's direct disciple, but still, Srila Prabhupada is giving us the same instruction. He works so hard to produce this Bhagavad Gita, these words of God here. He took so much trouble to put in the Sanskrit so we can actually hear and relish the beautiful Sanskrit language. And so we are in the presence of God, just by coming and to hear this. And God's pure representative, who is explaining it to us in a way that we can understand and incorporate it in our lives. The whole point is that we all have a mission in life. We have a mission. We're human beings. And it's so beautifully expressed in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavad Gita as well here. In the Bhagavatam, again and again, it says, Labdva sudurlamamidam bahusambhavante manushyam artadam anityam apiya dhira. Turnam yateta napateta namityavad nikshayasaya vishaya kalusarvatakshat. So I'm going to jump to the last line of that verse. Nikshayasa. What is Shreyas? There's these concepts we can easily understand in English. Shreyas and Preyas. You see? Preyas is immediate pleasure. You see? I remember in the 60s, in the motto, if it feels good, do it, Yeah. But then what happens when it doesn't feel good anymore? Rather anyway, that's the sign of pure ignorance. That's the animals. The animals are working on instinct. Oh, there's something to eat. Let me go find it. They can get it. They don't have to think. Should I or shouldn't I? No. So that's animal life. But we're not. But if we lead animal life, then we can go again become animals. We can go down. And our soul will then embody, be in the dog's body. And we won't have this nice brain, we'll just live the life of a dog. It can happen. We want to avoid that. We avoid that by chanting Hare Krishna and learning the process of what to do and what not to do. In any marga, any path, suppose you want to become a champion Olympic pole vaulter, okay? So what are you going to do? Are you going to just read a book? First of all, you got to find a coach, a bona fide pole vaulter coach, right? Someone who knows, has a name. And you say, oh, you do like this, you train like this, you run a little bit, and you put the thing, you hold it this way, And eventually, you probably won't become the super champion, but you may become pretty good. So there's a marga, what to do and what not to do, you see? And even in terms of diet, what to eat and what not to, so you keep your strength up, whatever it is. I'm sure there's a whole regimen. You can probably find books about it, So that's true of any path. You want to move from A to B or A to D, you want to get it. School, the college, all of these things, Now it's become a big business, a big kind of Ponzi scheme. Oh, yes, you can come in. We'll take out a little bit of a loan. Right? And then then you don't get the job you're looking for, and you're paying off that loan with interest for the next 50 years. 65. You're still paying off your college loan. I was so fortunate. I dropped out of college. I had a full scholarship. I didn't go into debt, But anyway, that's another story. No, really, to come back, and then, I was in confusion, and I eventually met some people, and I got into yoga, and then I got into chanting, and the rest is 50 years, over 50 years. Still ever fresh, these verses. So the basic point is this, that we have a original mission is to break out of this bondage of birth and death, old age and disease. You see? Why do I have to become old? Why do I have to become sick? Why do I have to die? You see? This is not natural for the soul. All of those things belong to the body. But if we don't ask the right person, or we get the right source of knowledge, we can't get an answer to that. So this is Prabhupada is giving it to us here, and the rest of this chapter, most of the chapter, there's a whole 30-verse lesson on the soul, and it's essential. It's foundational. If you really understand that I'm not this body, that I'm a soul, and that I have a spiritual life apart from this material life tied to this body, then everything makes sense. Everything that we do. Well, you have to give up, because your attachments that you make in this life will bring you back to try to fulfill them in the next life. When this body dies, you're not going to die, but your body will die. And your mind and intelligence and soul will go on. The mind goes on. And whatever your prominent thought is at that last time, what you're most concerned with, or that will determine your next life. So therefore, Krishna conscious means to become progressively more and more Krishna conscious at every step of your life. Eating for Krishna and understanding, and even sleeping and dreaming. And that's what the whole idea is. Because death can come at any time. The earthquake could come right now. The whole earth could open up here. We're sitting on a fault. Right? It's danger at every step. So we want to be in a position, I-5, You may be a very careful driver, but what about the guy behind you on his cell phone? Right? It's a danger. So if you're driving, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, anything that happens, you're on the safe side. I put a CD in there. I have one CD that I own. It's in my car, and it's a whole succession of wonderful kirtans. So anyway, I encourage you, come back tomorrow if you want. There won't be any tacos, but there'll be other prasadam. Yeah, and if you can't come back tomorrow, please come back the next day, because this is one of our most important holidays, the appearance of Lord Chaitanya, starting at 5:30. A lot of kirtan, wonderful talk by Bhadrinarayan Swami, and then a beautiful feast cooked with great love and devotion, all free. And a play put on by the brahmacharis. Yeah, it's going to be quite a play, I'm sure. All for free. So please plan to come back at 5:30, and hopefully the weather, it won't be too bad. Okay, one poem. We have to have a poem. So anyway, I don't have a poem for this, but this is such a wonderful verse. I'm going to share with you, and I'll give you a translation. This was written by a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya named Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And it has a certain beat. Hare Krishna Rama Nama Gana Dana Karanim Shoka Moha Lobha Tapasa Vigna Nashinim Pada Padma Lubna Bhakta Vrinda Bhakti Dhainim Koda Mutta Mashanami Nama Sutta Dharinim. So Hare Krishna Rama Nama. Hare Krishna Rama Nama Gana Dana Karanim means that he made a gift of the song. Lord Chaitanya made a gift of the song of the Hare Krishna mantra. That's what the first line means. And those who accept that gift, then the shoka or lamentation, illusion, shoka, moha, greed, all kinds of suffering, all of those things are destroyed just by accepting that gift and chanting Hare Krishna nicely. And for those who really pursue it, and they become very greedy to serve the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, then he bestows the highest levels of Krishna bhakti. I very enthusiastically and eagerly worship that Gaur Mutam, the golden avatar, who is chanting japa on a knotted string in a solitary place. Yes, he would do that. They didn't have all the beads we have now, apparently, but they would chant on these strings. So we'll end on that. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Please stay if you can for